Jane here, and I want to talk about the books that were my biggest surprises during 2024. These are books that I maybe had low expectations going in or thought they might be one thing going in, and then was pleasantly surprised by what they turned out to be. So these are all like the positive surprises. I already did a video on my disappointments, so you can check that out if you would rather see like the not so great surprises. But these were all ones that I was pleasantly surprised and liked way more than I thought I would. So the first one on this list is Tress. So I had only ever read Mistborn by Sanderson, and I didn't love it. I found it a little hard to read, a little bit sloggy at times. I have since gone back and read Mistborn again, and I liked it a little bit better the second time and did it almost completely on audio, which made a huge difference for me. But I didn't have high expectations going into Tress. And I was pleasantly surprised. This book had so many good lines, such a fun storyline. There were times where it still dragged. There were things that I didn't like about it, but overall, it had some excellent dialogue and excellent lines and excellent writing, and I just liked it way more than I expected to. I did also do it as a buddy read with friends, which may have made a difference because we were literally like highlighting bits of it and sending pictures of it to each other like, oh, this is such a cool line. I love this conversation. I love this commentary. So yeah, that was way better than I was expecting based on my experience with Mistborn. And I definitely like Tress a lot more than I like Mistborn as far as a entertaining good time. I think Mistborn probably has more depth and has more like complexity than Tress, but for a good time, Tress was where it was at. The next book on this list is one that I did not have high hopes for at all because I figured it was going to be just a ton of spice. But there was actually a surprising amount of world building and interesting things going on and character development, and that was Morning Glory Milking Farm. So for those who don't know, Morning Glory Milking Farm is about a girl who gets a job milking biological materials from minotaurs because they are used in medicines. The minotaurs come in, they get the fluid removed from them by the milkmaids, and then they are paid and wander off and, you know. And this girl ends up falling in love with and in a relationship with one of the minotaur patients, donors that come in. And it was just a much better story than I thought I was going to get. I thought I was going to get, just some crazy spicy scenes. And there are some crazy spicy scenes, but it was a lot more in depth and better than I was expecting. And I honestly had a pretty good time with it. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. It is not fine literature by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely opened me up to more Minotaur books. So I actually have recently hauled a Minotaur book that I'm hoping to read in 2025. And then I'm also waiting on the Minotaur book from Ruby Dixon that just recently released. It's on order at my library. So yes, I have a new thing I'm interested in, Minotaurs, and this book is to blame for it. So that was a surprise. The next book that is on this list is Frontlines. This book is a YA book about women that is written by a man. And there's so many things that could have gone wrong there, but I thought it really was way better than I expected it to be. I really honestly enjoyed this book and I plan to go and read the rest of the series. This is about a world where during World War II, women were drafted or allowed to enlist in the military. We follow 3 young women who have all enlisted for their own various reasons and are getting a taste of military life. I love the depth of the characters. I love the greater discussions about poverty and racism and the treatment of women and the way women are viewed by men, or historically and today too. And also just like the war and these characters experiencing Ware for the first time, and it's not necessarily what they thought they were getting into. My ex-husband is a soldier, and like a lot of the things that he told me about his experiences also aligned with what was in this book. So I really liked this book way more than I was expecting to. It's YA, and sometimes those can be a little romance heavy. Sometimes they can be a little bit too focused on family drama and things like that. And while there's a little bit of romance and a little bit of like family situations, this was very much grittier than I was expecting, and much more about the character growth and character experiences. And even though it was a male writer, I didn't ever feel like it was a male writer. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have that ick factor you sometimes get with men writing women, and especially men writing young women. Like there was not, he didn't sexualize them. He didn't do any of the things that sometimes I think male authors do that I don't appreciate. So it was way better than I was expecting. I really liked it. The next book was One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. So this book was not what I was expecting it to be. And what it was is not what I would normally like, but I did like it. I think I was extra surprised because I'd read one Ruth Ware beforehand and I didn't care for it. And so I was a little bit hesitant going in, but it sounded cool because there's a couple and they are going on this reality show on an island, and the couples are going to be eliminated, so they've got to determine who is the perfect couple in this reality show. And I had been in a kind of a reality show craze at the time, so I was interested in, okay, a book about a couple going to a reality show. You know, I read a lot of romance, so I wasn't sure if the romance was going to fall apart or if it was going to thrive or what was going to happen. This is not really about a reality show in any meaningful way. The setup is this couple goes to an island for a reality show, but then it becomes a survival story because there is this terrible weather event and they get separated from, like, they get stuck on this island with no way to get off and no access to the crew or a phone, and things get very bad very quickly. This was not a perfect book, but I had a much better time than I was expecting for it being a Ruth Ware, which I hadn't liked before. It was a surprise because it wasn't what I was really expecting going in. And it was also a surprise because I don't generally love survival stories, but this one I really felt engaged with. And the last one on this list is a Spindle Splintered. This is a Sleeping Beauty reimagining, retelling adjacent book. So there is a girl who has a chronic illness and she is swept into a Sleeping Beauty story and has to interact with the Sleeping Beauties there. I read it for Pride Month because it is very queer, and it was lovely. It was very simple. I don't know what I was expecting going in because it's been a while, but I was very surprised by how much I did enjoy it and the angles they took with the chronic illness or the terminal illness and everything like that. It was a good time. It was a really good time, and it was a very complex book for being very short and being YA, and I had a good time with it. So yeah, those were the 5 books that surprised me the most in my 2024 reading. Leave a comment below telling me about what book surprised you the most in 2024. Also, if you've read any of the books that I read on this list, did you have similar expectations going on, or were they different? Did these books surprise you? Did you like them? Tell me all about it in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. This has been Jane. Bye! Pictures and patterns put into words that stream across the page.